Hello, and welcome to this week's show of Whether or Not. I'm your host, Michael Jablonski, joined by our forecaster for this week's show, Stuart Dougherty. Well, Stuart, I know that plenty of folks are looking forward to Thanksgiving, but I'm also wondering when our first big snowstorm will be. Is it going to be this weekend, perchance?
Well, MJ, my forecast for this weekend doesn't call for snow, but I do see some rain coming in before Thanksgiving. I'll have the full details coming up for you in my upcoming forecast and extended forecast.
All right, can't wait to hear about it. But before we get to your forecast, we first have Nature in the News, where for this week, I'll be talking about how a simple thunderstorm led to a horde of venomous scorpions. Yes, you heard that correctly. How about you, Stuart?
For my Nature in the News story, I'll be talking about how in Pennsylvania it is Snow Squall Awareness Week. We also have a feature from Brian Michigan who'll be discussing about one of his favorite pastimes and how weather affects it, surfing.
But first, here is Nature in the News.
Thunderstorms can present many dangers to humans, but you wouldn't expect a horde of scorpions to be one of them. Yet, this was the case for Aswan, Egypt. Last week, they were one of many places in southern Egypt to experience strong storms. These storms produced 4/100 of an inch of rain, along with hail and strong winds. Now, 4/100 of an inch may not seem like much, but for Aswan, it measures out to be 80% of its average yearly rainfall. As if the local flooding wasn't enough, however, the excessive rain drove out hundreds of scorpions into the city. Many of these scorpions were poisonous, and their stings would send over 400 people in Aswan to the hospital. These unfortunate folks would all go on to be treated with anti-venom doses, however. The thunderstorm in Egypt serves as an example that even the simplest of storms can produce the most unusual of effects.
In the previous episode of Whether or Not, I had talked about Winter Weather Awareness Week. Well, this week, that same group and the Pennsylvania State Police are teaming up for Snow Squall Awareness Week. On Monday, John Banghoff of the National Weather Service here in State College spoke at a press briefing hosted by the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency. During his speech, Mr. Banghoff provided a video by William Von Auken traveling along a highway during a snow squall. The video starts with some very overcast skies. Then a few flakes begin to fall. Further along, the flakes begin sticking to the roads and conditions become rapidly hazardous to the point where visibility is limited to less than a quarter of a mile. It then shows an accident scene as a 18-wheeler tries to miss a disabled 18-wheeler only to lose control and hit a different disabled 18-wheeler. Even the driver of the car begins to lose control, and then the video ends by stating, "There is no safe place on a highway during a snow squall." What makes snow squalls dangerous is while they drop visibility, they also have a sharp temperature gradient, sending temperatures plummeting, usually to the point where the first flakes on the road will melt, but will freeze in seconds. This is called flash freeze. This freeze causes slippery and undrivable conditions on highways. To view the video, go to the NWS State College Facebook page at facebook.com/NWS State College. Under the cover picture, hit more and click on videos to access it. You can also go to the Twitter page at NWS State College and scroll to November 15th. To access more information about snow squalls and how the Commonwealth wants to warn you about a snow squall, head to facebook.com/PEMAHQ. Hit more underneath the cover pic and click on videos, and the conference will be towards the top of the list. A weather-ready Commonwealth is a safe Commonwealth. This below average weekend will start feeling a little bit like early December. Look at the day on Friday. This cold front draped all the way up from northern Maine, all the way down south through the southeast. That brought us showers on Friday. We'll move off towards the coast, leaving us some high pressure building into northwestern Kentucky and a couple of flurries up around Lake Erie. Some may come fall down here, but it shouldn't amount to much. For the day on Saturday, last home football game against Rutgers, high pressure will begin to build back into northern West Virginia, even some parts of southwestern Pennsylvania, bringing us some mostly sunny skies, keeping lake effect flurries up around the Pennsylvania-New York border. Again, nothing substantial in the amount of precipitation. And for the day on Sunday, clouds will begin to build back as our next storm system that will affect us Monday, and I'll have that in my extended forecast, be well above average for this time of year. So to recap, Friday, temperature right around 39 degrees, sunny skies with some flurries. Low temperature of 24 with cloudy skies. Saturday, the high of 44, sunny and chilly. Average temperatures for this time of year, right around 46, 47 degrees. So we are well below average for this time of year. And average lows right around 31, 32 degrees. So it's a well below average night for Saturday. Sunday is when we can get back to average temperatures with the cloudy skies. Coming up, it will be a feature from Bryan, Michigan about hurricane season versus surfing.
Along the east coast of the United States, famous beach towns like Seaside Heights, Jacksonville Beach, and even Virginia Beach are all known for being popular vacation destinations during the summer months. The soft sand, bright sunshine, and warm ocean waters are all very inviting aspects to these locations. However, for a certain group of people, it's a different aspect that makes them return to the beaches whenever possible. These people are surfers. Known for being wild and free-spirited, surfers flock to the beaches whenever the waves are on the rise. In many areas of the world like California, Australia, or even Hawaii, great surf is a very common part of a surfer's life. However, on the east coast of the United States, there are often times where you must be very patient in waiting for the next swell. In order to score the best possible conditions for riding waves, you need big storm systems like hurricanes or other areas of low pressure to be present. The wind generated from these storms is what causes big waves to form and be sent outwards towards the shore. In many cases, waves from storm systems travel thousands of miles as energy moving through the ocean until this energy reaches the coastline. On the east coast of the United States, the most common storms that send the best waves to surf are hurricanes. A hurricane is a large, rotating, low-pressure system that forms in the tropics. These storms are accompanied by strong winds and heavy rains that are capable of tracking hundreds of miles and producing catastrophic damage. Hurricane season in the Atlantic runs from June to November, with the peak of the season occurring on September 10th. However, despite the season lasting through these months, certain time periods offer more days of swell than others. Typically, from June to August, the hurricane season is relatively inactive, and on average, only 6 storms form during this time period. This means that with less storm activity, the less opportunity for swell. Surfers on the East Coast describe these months of the year as pancake flat. These months can have a few swells from time to time, but otherwise, wave heights are typically at their lowest points during the year, with wave heights averaging only 1.5 to 2 feet, which is hardly even rideable. As we head deeper into the months of September and October, we approach the peak of the hurricane season. It is during this time period where we will have the greatest number of tropical systems, and all of the ingredients that are important for tropical storm development are in play. These ingredients include warm ocean temperatures of 80 degrees or higher, warm moist air, and low amounts of wind shear. Having a hurricane form out in the Atlantic is one thing, but for it to send great surf to the East Coast, there's even more factors that must occur. Some of these include the track of the hurricane, the size, and even how fast the storm is moving. These criteria will help surfers and forecasters determine how big the surf will actually be and for how long the swell will stay around. Typically on the East Coast, since storm systems generally flow from west to east, swells from these storms will be very short-lived, offering 1 or 2 days of peak surf before the storm systems move away. Looking at the track of these hurricanes is another important factor. You don't want the hurricanes to be too close to the coast. More direct impacts will result in storm surge and wind speeds that make surfing impossible and far too dangerous. On the other hand, if the storm system is too far away, that gives the swells produced too much time to be broken up by other storm systems before reaching the coast. Additionally, one of the most important variables we have when it comes to waves is fetch. Fetch is the distance that wind can travel over water in a constant direction. In order to get the biggest waves, you need to have a fetch over a large area, and with strong storms like hurricanes, they are more than capable of doing the job. On top of all that, there are even more local conditions that have to line up correctly in order to truly have a good session. These factors are tides as well as wind direction. Pinpointing the right tides to surf is typically all depending on the local spot that you surf. Some surf breaks favor the best waves at high tide while others at low tide. You can even have breaks that favor the tide transitioning from one to the other. And in order to figure out what tide is best, that really all depends on your local knowledge. Luckily, figuring out the best wind conditions are a whole lot easier than nailing the tides. For practically all surf spots in the world, and especially on the East Coast, you want an offshore wind. Offshore winds are winds that blow from over the land out to sea. These winds are sometimes known as land breezes, and for many spots on the East Coast, an offshore wind will be a west wind. That goes for many places like New Jersey, Virginia, all the way down to the east coast of Florida. However, for Long Island, New York, a north wind would be an offshore wind. These winds are important for getting a clean and groomed surface to the waves in order to make the waves smooth. This smoothness to the waves allows for surfers to carve up and down the face of the waves without having to worry about bumps and chop from ruining their ride. Offshore winds also help the waves form one of their most iconic features, the barrel. A barrel is a hollow part of a breaking wave in between the face and the curling lip. As a surfer, the ultimate goal is to ride a wave and travel through this barrel and come out. For East Coast surfers, chasing these swells takes a whole lot more than just looking at your local beach. To really score dreamy surf, it requires surfers to know a variety of variables like wind direction, the track of these systems, and even the tides. It just goes to show that when it comes to surfing, knowing the weather is crucial for figuring out your next session. Reporting from Weather or Not, I'm Brian, Michigan.
The extended forecast takes us into the week of Thanksgiving, but first we must get through the weekend. Temperatures below average as they rebound to about average for the day on Sunday as the next storm system comes through. And let's talk about this storm system on Monday. Rain and windy conditions to start the day on Monday. Cold front will come through, leaving a couple flurries on Tuesday, little bits of sun for Tuesday and Wednesday. Thanksgiving looks to be cloudy. Temperatures right around 40 degrees. And by Black Friday, temperatures will reach to about average for this time of year, 46 to 47. So a below average Thanksgiving is in store for us as we celebrate the holiday. That does it for the extended forecast. Coming up will be your Whiz Quiz answer.
Thanks, Stuart. And now for the weather whiz quiz question. What is the normal yearly rainfall for Aswan, Egypt? Is it A, 5/100ths of an inch, B, 5/10ths of an inch, C, 5 inches, or D, 50 inches?
And the correct answer is A, 5/100ths of an inch. Wow, MJ, I would love to make a joke here, but my family says I am terrible with dry humor.
Well, thanks for joining us, folks, for this week's edition of the Whether or Not Comedy Hour.
But before we close, I would like to take this opportunity to let our viewers know that we have a YouTube channel. Our channel is called Whether or Not PSU. And this episode will be called Whether or Not 11-18-21. If you have social media, please go back to look at my Nature in the News story, get the raw snow squall video, and please share it for anyone that will watch it. Safety is a top priority this winter, and it's important that you are alive for when we approach the spring next year.
Absolutely. And also be sure to join us next week for a special episode of Whether or Not. But until then, I'm MJ.
And I'm Stuart. Have a great weekend. Happy Thanksgiving.